Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I want to talk about dogs. Yeah, and it's the importance of a dog in the way of home defense, and in general, and in some other stuff too. Because I've used a lot. Dogs have been a big part of my life on doing things that was really tough to do, and a lot of it I couldn't do without the dog. And this is the kind of stuff I want to talk about. And let's see if we can get this. Yeah, there we go. And the thing is, in home defense, a dog is good, just if nothing else, for alerting you that there's someone around. Now, to me, a dog is not only my good friend and very important to me, but it's a tool. And the dog's job is to protect me, just like my job is to protect my dog. And the thing is, on home defense, if you really want to do the dog properly, and it's an outdoor dog, through the night, you would want to put the dog in a crate or cage, whatever you want to call it, right outside your front door, and or maybe you've got two dogs, one in the back and one in the front, or something like that. You don't really want to let your dogs out running loose. Now, if you have more than one, you may be able to get away with it. And now this is more out in the country kind of stuff. And the reason is dogs are easy to take out. So I mean, they could kill your dog. So that's why I'm saying your job is to protect your dog. So by putting your dog in a dog crate outside the front door or something, I mean, if there's somebody walking around outside, it's going to let you know there's somebody outside. And that's the best thing about them, is the early warning system that they give you. And if you're going to have them in the house, you got to have your dog trained well enough that you can open the door without your dog running outside. That's one bad thing about a dog that's not trained properly. It's not going to be a tool. It's like as in an asset. It'll be a liability. If you can't control the dog, and the dog's not doing what it's supposed to do, it becomes a liability. If you can get a really good dog, would be a dog that doesn't bark on everything that runs around. So, and they just kind of keep quiet, and they can tell when it's time to bark. I had a dog, Xena. She was my travel companion. I'll put the link down below, and she was very, very instrumental in me getting around and doing things. And I was able to go places and do things that, you know, normally I wouldn't be able to do. Like I say, she's the dog on the motorcycle, and like I say, I ran around down in Central America and all the way up here in the United States. Put on 60,000 miles on 2 different motorcycles, and she really did a lot. And the main thing was in appearance, and that's what you got to think about. The dog appears to be more than what it is. Like I say, as a watchdog, it'll bark and you know, let you know. Now, even if you have a caged in or a fenced in yard, you don't really want to let your dog out, because like I say, they can be poisoned. There's a lot of things they can do to it. So the best thing is, don't let them just completely out run around, because they don't know their job other than just run around and bark all the time. So, and in some cases, maybe that's all you want, you know. But like I say, mine's a companion. I like my dog with me. And I'm going to tell you a story. I had a German Shepherd in Guatemala. I found it. It showed up at the hotel, and I don't remember if I made a video about it or what it was. But anyway, I had this German Shepherd, and it was already grown. I'd say maybe a year and a half, 2 years old, and I had to do some training with it. I had the hotel, so that's why I didn't keep it. At the hotel, there's so many people coming in and out, and you really got a dog is like a firearm, and you're responsible for it. So I had to get rid of it. And anyway, so I only had it for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days. I don't remember, something like that. But it was under intense training because I loved it. I enjoy a good dog, and I was making a good dog out of it. But I knew I couldn't keep it. So I had to give it enough training where I could do something with it. And I went down to the police department, and I offered to give it to the dog, or give the dog to the police department. And so then that was a pretty good thing, because I got a hold of the police chief, all the high up in the police department. So I got to know a lot of them. And but anyway, they were wondering. They thought I was going to sell it to them, and I told them, no, I just found it. I want to give it a good home, and it's really good for doing this work. And so they said, well, what kind of work would it do, and how hard would it be to train? And so there was probably maybe 12 or 15 of them in this kind of a large room, and they were all the way around. And I had the dog on the leash, and I walked around, and I'd stop and the dog would sit, and I'd walk a little bit more, and I'd stop and the dog would sit. You always have to teach your dog to sit. That's a big thing. And that's the first thing that I teach all my dogs, is to sit. Well, the first thing they learn is their name. The next thing you know, to sit. And they got to be able to sit for a long period of time. And so then I'd go around and I'd stop, and we'd do like this. And, they were just watching. Well, there's a well-trained dog, And then I took the leash off. And then I'd walk and stop, and the dog would sit. And then I'd give it a hand signal, and then I would walk, and the dog would sit right there. And then I'd walk over, and then I'd do another hand signal, and it'd come up to me. And we did this going all the way around. And then they were still trying to figure out, well, how is this thing going to work for us in the police department? And I said, okay, I want all of you to come get me. And they all looked at each other, and nobody wanted to come. Nobody wanted to. And now I didn't have it long enough to really get it trained properly. But normally when I train my dogs, I'll give them another signal, and then they'll start viciously barking. They won't go after anybody. Their job is to stay with me and protect me. And then, like I say, they just sit there and just and then bark, and it's really scary. I didn't do it to this dog. This dog wasn't trained that much yet, but just the idea of watching it sit, walk, and come to me without using any words, just using hand signals, that was enough that nobody wanted to get close to me. And these are policemen. And so if the dog is properly trained, it can do a whole lot more than home defense. And there's a lot of good reasons for having a dog. And you can, like I say, even if it's just outside, if you have a fenced-in yard, that's good. And then at night, put them in a crate there by the door. Or if it's an indoor dog, well, then it come at night. Then you bring it inside, and especially cold weather and stuff like that, you bring them inside. But normally during the day, they'll find a place to to stay warm and all this kind of stuff. But at night you need to maybe bring them in if it's getting cold. But I say they've got to. There's different things you can do to train these dogs, and it doesn't have to really do a lot. It just has to appear to be well trained and well mannered. And if that's the case, they're really useful. I say I got videos on Xena. It's the same thing. You can look on NoStressMike Zena, and you'll find videos on her. And but I say I've used her to control crowds. They weren't a mob yet, and I thought, well, before they start turning into a mob, I better introduce myself and Xena. And Xena was only 50 pounds. Like the dog you saw here was like maybe 80, something like that. So she was smaller, but she was really disciplined, and she really knew what she was doing, and she appeared to be more than what she was. And this was down in Central America, and the culture down there, they got a lot of stray dogs. So when they're little, they're taught to stay away from the dog, because he got diseases and stuff like that. So as a little child, they were already, the seed was planted in their mind that dogs are dangerous. And then when you see them well-mannered and doing their job, you really don't want to mess with them. But you might want to consider the value of a dog around home defense, and especially in a shit-it's-fan situation. I can think of many, many, many good, positive uses for a good dog. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.